Chapter 14. Red Queen's first mission. Li-Feng slowly calmed himself down. The terrifying roar leaking from his body gradually returned back into him. His mother and younger sister looked at him in shock. For a brief moment just now, they had felt as though they were standing before a wild beast instead of the Li-Feng they knew. Li-Feng took a deep breath. "I'm sorry, I lost control for a moment." His mother nodded silently while his younger sister wiped away the tears on her face. Li-Feng slowly stood up. "I'll be back in a moment." Without waiting for their reply, he walked out of the hospital room and headed toward the corridor outside. The cold night wind blew through the hallway. Li-Feng took out the futuristic phone from his pocket. Even now, looking at it still felt unreal. Red Queen. The screen lit up instantly. A miniature holographic woman appeared above the phone screen. "Yes, Master." Li-Feng's expression became cold. "Help me investigate everyone involved in what happened to my father. I want information about the people buying land in this county. I want information about the people who attacked my father. I want everything." Red Queen nodded slightly. "Understood, Master." Immediately, countless streams of data began flashing across the screen. Documents opened and closed rapidly. Photos appeared. Property records, company registrations, bank transfers, traffic records, public records, private records. Everything moved so quickly that it was impossible for ordinary people to understand what was happening. Several seconds later, Red Queen spoke again. "Investigation complete." Several files appeared before Li-Feng. His eyes narrowed. The company responsible for the land acquisition project was connected directly to the Chen family, more specifically, young Master Li. Li-Feng's expression instantly became colder. The same young Master Li who stole Yinyu from him. The same young Master Li who looked down on him as if he were worthless. The same young Master Li from the Chen family in the capital. Red Queen continued. "Young Master Li, male, 35 years old, only son of the second branch of the Chen family, known history of violence and abuse of authority." The screen changed once more. Case after case appeared before Li-Feng. At 17 years old, he assaulted a female student during a school trip. The case disappeared shortly afterward. At 20 years old, a young woman disappeared after attending one of his parties. Her body was later discovered. The incident was ruled an accident. At 21 years old, he committed a hit-and-run accident. The victim died. The case vanished. Illegal business acquisitions, forced property purchases, land intimidation, the use of local gangs and thugs to pressure families into selling their homes. Every single incident pointed toward one conclusion. Someone had buried the evidence. Someone had erased the truth. His father had protected him. The Chen family had protected him. Red Queen continued calmly. Current relationship status. Engaged to a woman named Yinyu. Li-Feng remained silent. His expression did not change. After a long moment, he finally spoke. "Send all evidence anonymously to the authorities. Make sure it reaches people who cannot easily be influenced." "Understood, Master." The files instantly began disappearing from the screen one after another. For the first time in years, someone had begun digging into the dirt hidden beneath the Chen family. Li-Feng looked toward the night sky for several seconds before turning around and walking back into the hospital room. Inside, his father lay weakly on the bed. His mother sat beside him with swollen eyes. His younger sister remained quietly beside them. Li-Feng looked at his family. Then he smiled. "Pack your things. We're leaving." Everyone froze. His mother looked confused. "Leaving?" Li-Feng nodded. "We're not staying here anymore." The hospital initially refused the discharge request. Li-Feng simply paid another 50,000 RMB. The hospital staff immediately changed their attitude. The discharge procedures were completed within minutes. Soon, a transport vehicle suitable for carrying injured patients arrived. Li Hu was carefully moved into the vehicle. His mother and younger sister followed closely behind. As the vehicle drove through the city, Li-Feng quietly spoke. "Red Queen, have you prepared the house?" "Everything has been completed, Master." "Rental payment successful. 1 month has already been paid." "Location, Mintoa Street Residential District." Li-Feng nodded. "Good." His younger sister's eyes widened. "Mintoa Street? Brother, isn't that where all the rich people in our county live?" Li-Feng smiled slightly. "We're only staying there temporarily." The vehicle eventually stopped outside an enormous gated community. The guards immediately stepped forward. Li-Feng opened the authorization documents on his phone. The guard stared at the futuristic device in shock. "Sir, what kind of phone is that? It looks like something from a science fiction movie." Li-Feng smiled. "A custom model." After confirming the documents, the guards immediately became respectful and personally escorted them inside. Soon, they arrived in front of a quiet villa hidden among the trees. Li-Feng's mother froze. His younger sister froze. Even Li, who looked shocked despite his injuries. Li-Feng simply smiled. "Let's go inside." The house had already been prepared. Furniture, food, medicine, everything was ready. After helping Li Hu onto the bed, Li-Feng quietly took out a crystal core. Father, open your mouth. Li Hu looked confused but obeyed. Li-Feng placed the crystal core into his father's mouth. At the same time, he carefully guided a stream of energy into Li Hu's body. The crystal slowly began dissolving. The energy quietly spread throughout his father's body. Broken bones, damaged muscles, internal injuries, everything slowly began healing. The process was not fast, but it had already begun. Li-Feng could clearly feel it. At this rate, his father would recover completely within 2 days, perhaps even sooner. After covering Li Hu with a blanket, Li-Feng walked back outside. He handed the smaller crystal fragments to his mother and younger sister. Take these before sleeping. They'll help your bodies recover. Neither of them understood what they were holding, but they trusted him. Li-Feng finally entered his own room. He closed the door behind him. Then he lay down on the bed. His mind replayed everything that had happened. His father's injuries, young Master Li, the Chen family, Yin Yu, the humiliation of the past, the helplessness he once felt. Slowly, his eyes became colder. This debt, someone would repay it. Li-Feng slowly closed his eyes. Tomorrow would be the beginning of repayment. Chapter 15, A Chaotic Morning. Early in the morning, before the sun had fully risen, Li Hu slowly opened his eyes. For several seconds, he stared blankly at the ceiling. Then suddenly, his expression changed. Oh no! Nature was calling. Without thinking, he instinctively tried to get out of bed. One foot touched the floor, then the second. Li Hu froze. Huh. He slowly looked down. The cast was still on his leg. The cast was still on his arm. Yet somehow he was standing. Li Hu blinked several times, then looked at his feet, then at the cast, then back at his feet again. I can walk. His sleepy brain struggled to process what was happening. But before he could think further, another problem demanded immediate attention. His expression suddenly changed. No. Questions later. Nature first. The water inside my body is declaring war. Li Hu immediately began hopping toward the bathroom. The enemy must be expelled immediately. The kingdom depends on me. A few minutes later, inside the bathroom, Li Hu finally let out a long sigh. Victory. He leaned against the wall comfortably. Then suddenly his brain finally finished waking up. Wait. His brow slowly furrowed. Didn't my legs break yesterday? He blinked, then slowly looked downward. The cast was still there. His arm was still wrapped. His leg was still wrapped. Li Hu blinked again, then looked at his feet, then looked at the cast, then back at his feet, then back at the cast again. Hold on. He slowly lifted one leg, then lowered it, then lifted the other one, then lowered it. I can walk. Another few seconds passed. Then his eyes widened. Wait a minute. Did the doctor prank me or what is all this cast? A decoration? Then he pointed at the cast on his arm. And this too? Limited edition hospital fashion? Li Hu looked around suspiciously. Did they hire actors? Was yesterday some kind of hidden camera show? He frowned deeply. Li Hu touched his chin seriously. Those doctors nowadays, no professional ethics at all. Then he looked down at himself. Why am I black? He froze. His face twitched. His arms, his neck, parts of his skin, everything was covered in a thin layer of black impurities. Li Hu sniffed slightly. Immediately, his expression changed. Oh my God, what died? He sniffed again, then slowly pointed at himself. No way. It was me? Li Hu nearly cried. This smell is illegal. This should be classified as a biological weapon. He looked at the cast again. And these things are getting in the way too. Forget it. Investigation later. Bath first. Detective Li Hu will continue this case after cleaning the crime scene. With that, he rushed toward the shower. Several minutes later, Li Hu stepped out wearing only a towel around his waist. As he casually glanced toward the mirror, he froze. The white hair on his head had almost completely disappeared. Most of it had returned to black. The wrinkles on his face had faded considerably. Even his skin looked healthier and younger. Li Hu stared at himself for several seconds. Then, ahath! His scream echoed throughout the villa. Outside, Minchi and Li Zhu immediately rushed over. Old Li, father! The door burst open. The moment they saw Li Hu standing there, both froze. Li Hu was standing, not lying in bed, not using support, standing. Tears instantly filled Minchi's eyes. You can stand. Li Zhu's eyes immediately turned red. Father. Minchi immediately rushed forward to hug him. However, Li Hu quickly backed away. Minchi froze. What are you running from? Li Hu pointed at her helplessly. You smell. Li Zhu froze. What? Li Hu nodded seriously. You both smell terrible. Worse than I did earlier. Only then did the mother and daughter notice the thin layer of black impurities covering parts of their bodies. Li Zhu sniffed herself. Her expression immediately changed. AHHH! Minchi's eyes widened. What is the smell? Li Hu folded his arms proudly. Go take your baths first. Trust me. You'll thank me later. Without another word, the mother and daughter rushed toward the bathrooms. Half an hour later, two screams echoed throughout the villa once again. Li-Feng, who had been sleeping peacefully in his room, suddenly jumped awake. What happened now? Outside, Minchi and Li Zhu stared at themselves in disbelief. Minchi looked more than 10 years younger. Most of her white hair had disappeared. The wrinkles on her face had almost vanished. Meanwhile, Li Zhu's skin had become smooth and flawless. Even the tiny pimples she used to complain about had disappeared completely. The two women almost couldn't recognize themselves. Li Hu walked over proudly. See, I told you. Then he opened his arms toward Minchi. This time I won't run. Minchi narrowed her eyes. Oh, so now you want to hug me? Weren't you running away earlier? Li Hu coughed awkwardly. That situation was different. Minchi crossed her arms proudly. Too late. Tonight. Don't think about sleeping peacefully. Li Hu's eyes widened. Li Zhu immediately burst into laughter. At that moment, Li-Feng finally walked out of his room after hearing all the noise. The moment Minchi saw him, her eyes immediately lit up. Call your brothers. I want them to see this. Without waiting for Li-Feng to respond, Minchi immediately grabbed her phone. The call connected. Mother, why are you calling this early? Stop sleeping and come here immediately. I have something important to show both of you. The brothers sounded confused. Mother, it's still morning. We'll come before night. Only then did Minchi reluctantly hang up. Immediately afterward, she returned to admiring herself in the mirror together with Li Zhu. Li Hu joined them shortly afterward. Li-Feng stood there quietly. Am I invisible? Nobody answered him. Li-Feng shook his head helplessly. Taking advantage of the fact that nobody was paying attention to him anymore, he quietly slipped back into his room. Outside, laughter continued filling the villa. For the first time in a long while, the Li family home was filled with happiness once again. The afternoon sunlight quietly entered the room. Li-Feng slowly opened his eyes. After sleeping for another hour, he finally felt completely refreshed. Stretching his body lazily, he sat up from the bed. Looks like sleeping really is one of life's greatest inventions. After washing up and brushing his teeth, Li-Feng walked out of his room. The moment he entered the living room, he saw Li Hu and Minchi sitting comfortably on the sofa watching television while Li Zhu was lying on another sofa scrolling through her phone. The atmosphere was peaceful. Li Hu noticed Li-Feng immediately. Oh, our young master Li is finally awake. Li-Feng rolled his eyes. You make it sound like I slept for 3 days. Minchi snorted. I've called you several times already. You slept like a dead pig. Li-Feng shamelessly sat down. Mother, food first. Family affection can wait. Minchi laughed and went to heat up his food. While waiting, Li Hu looked toward Li-Feng seriously. Son, the crystal you gave us yesterday. It caused all those changes, didn't it? Minchi and Li Zhu also looked over curiously. Li-Feng had expected this question. He nodded calmly. Actually, I'm working for a company now. My boss thinks highly of me. The crystal is one of our company's products. It is called a crystal core. Minchi immediately asked, Can you get more? Li-Feng laughed helplessly. Mother, the one you took yesterday hasn't even finished digesting. By tomorrow, you'll notice even greater changes. What happened this morning was only the beginning. Li Hu nodded thoughtfully. Li-Feng looked toward his father. Father, later let's visit another hospital and have them remove your cast. Li Hu immediately grinned. Good, I was planning to remove these torture devices anyway. At that moment, Li Zhu suddenly raised her head. Brother, how much does this company pay you? Li-Feng raised an eyebrow. Oh, the little capitalist has spoken. Li Zhu ignored him. Tell me quickly. Li-Feng casually replied. About 1 million RMB per month. The room became silent. How much? Li Zhu almost jumped from the sofa. Brother, what kind of company pays 1 million every month? Even Li Hu and Minchi were shocked. Li-Feng calmly explained. Our company specializes in products for rich people. We don't sell publicly. It's a private business. Li Hu suddenly burst into laughter. Our Li family ancestors must be blessing us. My son has finally made it. Minchi immediately pinched him. What are you grinning so proudly for? Li Hu instantly surrendered. Don't kill me. Do you want to become a widow? Li-Feng laughed. This family really knew how to create noise. Soon, Minchi placed the food in front of him. Li-Feng immediately started eating. After finishing his meal, Li-Feng stood up. I'm going out for a while. Li Hu nodded. Be careful. Li-Feng waved his hand and left the villa. Outside, he stood quietly for a moment, then sighed. I still don't have a car. Checking his account balance, he frowned slightly. Buying a car immediately wasn't necessary. Renting one would be enough for now. With that thought, Li-Feng started walking toward the exit of the estate. After walking for almost 10 minutes, Li-Feng looked around helplessly. These rich people really enjoy making visitors suffer. Why build an estate this big? If someone wants to visit their relatives, By the time they arrived, they'll already be exhausted. Just as he reached the main gate, a black Bentley slowly drove out from inside the estate. Li-Feng quickly raised his hand. The Bentley slowly stopped beside him. The window lowered. A beautiful young woman sat in the driver's seat. She wore business clothes and possessed a cold and capable aura. Li-Feng scratched his head awkwardly. Sorry to disturb you. I just wanted to ask where I can find a taxi around here. The woman glanced at him briefly. Get in. Li-Feng blinked. Thank you. After entering the car, Li-Feng quietly sat in the passenger seat. Only then did he properly see the woman's appearance. She was indeed beautiful, very beautiful. However, compared to Xia, she was still slightly inferior. Li-Feng silently nodded. As expected of Sister Xia, the Bentley continued moving quietly. Neither of them spoke. Suddenly, the woman's phone rang. She answered the call. An arrogant male voice immediately sounded from the speaker. If you still want the investment money, then you know where to meet me tonight. Spend some time with me and maybe I'll consider helping you. The woman's expression instantly darkened. Bastard! She threw the phone onto the seat beside her and angrily hit the steering wheel. Li-Feng immediately sat upright. Please don't kill me. I still want to live. If you want to murder someone, at least let me get out first. The woman stared at him coldly. Li-Feng immediately shut his mouth. After several seconds, she asked, "Where are you going?" Li-Feng pointed ahead. "I want to rent a commercial vehicle." The woman nodded. "It's on my way." After a moment of silence, Li-Feng asked carefully, "Do you need money?" The woman frowned. "What does that have to do with you?" Li-Feng scratched his head awkwardly. "Nothing. Just asking." The woman ignored him afterward. The rest of the journey remained silent. Soon, the Bentley stopped in front of Forest Auto Plaza. Li-Feng quickly got out. Just as he was about to thank her, the Bentley had already driven away. Li-Feng stood there helplessly. Young rich ladies really are difficult to deal with. Shaking his head, he entered the plaza. Most employees only glanced at his ordinary clothes before looking away. Reality was indeed realistic. Fortunately, one female employee walked over politely. "What can I help you with, sir?" "I want to rent a commercial vehicle." The employee nodded. "Please follow me." After some introductions, Li-Feng selected a medium-sized truck. The rental price was 5,000 RMB. After signing the necessary documents, Li-Feng drove away. Soon, he stopped at a quiet roadside area. After confirming nobody was nearby, he waved his hand toward the back of the truck. Instant, large amounts of goods from the Wasteland appeared inside the truck. The truck quickly became full. Li-Feng smiled. Time to make money. Half an hour later, the truck stopped outside Zhao Trading Company. The receptionist immediately recognized him. "Mr. Li is here." She hurried upstairs. A few moments later, Manager Zhao almost ran downstairs personally. "Master Li, you're finally here." Li-Feng sat comfortably on the sofa. Manager Zhao smiled so much that his eyes almost disappeared. Li-Feng suddenly felt uncomfortable. Why is this man looking at me like that? Could he actually be interested in men? Manager Zhao naturally had no idea what Li-Feng was thinking. Instead, he looked toward the truck outside excitedly. "Master Li ... Did you bring more goods?" Li-Feng nodded. "Everything is in the truck." Manager Zhao immediately called several employees over. The truck doors opened. Everyone quickly began unloading the goods. After personally inspecting everything, Manager Zhao smiled brightly. 10 million RMB in total. Li-Feng's eyes lit up instantly. "Transfer it." A few seconds later, his phone vibrated. 10 million RMB had successfully entered his account. Li-Feng looked at the message on his phone and could not stop the smile on his face. 10 million RMB. 10 whole million. He leaned back on the sofa in Manager Zhao's office and let out a long breath. Making money ... He shook his head. Making money is really addictive. Manager Zhao smiled awkwardly from the side. Li-Feng stood up and stretched his body. "All right. Manager Zhao, I'm leaving first." Before Li-Feng could take the steps, Manager Zhao hurriedly stood up. "Master Li, please wait." Li-Feng turned around. Manager Zhao rubbed his hands nervously. "My master ... Daughter President ... wishes to meet you." Li-Feng raised an eyebrow. "The owner of Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation?" Manager Zhao nodded repeatedly. "Yes, Master Li." Li-Feng thought for a moment before waving his hand. "Let's arrange it tomorrow." Manager Zhao's eyes immediately lit up. "Good. Good. I'll arrange everything immediately." Li-Feng nodded and walked out of the office. As soon as the door closed, Manager Zhao hurriedly took out his phone to call Miss Gao, but she did not answer the call. He frowned slightly. "Busy again?" After trying twice, he gave up and sent a message instead. After sending the message, Manager Zhao let out a sigh and returned to work. Meanwhile, outside Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation, Li-Feng walked slowly along the street before finally stopping under a tree. He looked around before silently taking out the mind control device. The next moment, the device connected successfully. He put the phone back into his pocket. He no longer needed to hold it in his hand. With a thought alone, He could operate everything. Red Queen. A soft voice immediately appeared in his mind. Yes, Master. Li-Feng smiled. I have money now, so tell me ... how do I make more? Red Queen answered almost instantly. There are several methods. Investment, business acquisition, real estate, stock trading, currency trading, international futures trading. Li-Feng immediately interrupted. Which one is the fastest? Red Queen replied calmly. Stock trading. Li-Feng scratched his head. Isn't that where people lose all their money? Red Queen answered. That is because humans make emotional decisions. They hesitate. They become greedy. They become afraid. I do not. I analyze data, news, market movement, transaction flow, and probability in real time. My error rate is close to zero. Li-Feng blinked. That sounds terrifying. It is efficient. Li-Feng nodded seriously. So ... how much can you make? Red Queen answered calmly. Give me 30 minutes. I can turn 10 million into 50 million. Li-Feng froze. ... how much did you say? 50 million. Li-Feng almost choked on his own saliva. He looked left. He looked right. Then he found an empty bench by the roadside and immediately sat down. No one disturb me. I need to process this information. The afternoon breeze gently blew across his face. Cars moved along the road. People walked past him. Li-Feng simply sat there quietly looking at the sky. 30 minutes later, Red Queen's voice sounded again. Master, the transaction is complete. Li-Feng immediately opened his account information. The moment he saw the numbers ... his eyes widened. 50 million RMB. 50 million. His breathing stopped for several seconds. Then, holy ... he immediately covered his mouth. People nearby were already beginning to look at him strangely. Li-Feng quickly lowered his head. Calm down. Calm down. Normal people do not scream when they become rich. Li-Feng clenched his fist tightly. Inside his heart, however, he was already screaming. Red Queen spoke again. Master, should I continue? Li-Feng swallowed. You can still continue? Yes, for approximately 2 days. Li-Feng's eyes widened again. How much can we make in 2 days? Red Queen calculated for less than a second. Approximately 10 billion RMB. Li-Feng nearly fell off the bench. 10 billion. He looked around immediately. Fortunately, nobody heard him. He took several deep breaths. Calm down. Li-Feng, calm down. You're a cultivator now. People with 10 billion shouldn't behave like this. After several minutes, he finally regained his composure. He stood up slowly. First things first, I need my own car. After all, a man with tens of millions in his account should not still be renting delivery trucks. Li-Feng nodded seriously. Yes, it is time. It is time for me to buy my first car. Li-Feng drove the rented commercial vehicle back toward the dealer. After parking it neatly in front of the shop, he stepped out and tossed the keys lightly toward the receptionist. The young lady who had helped him earlier immediately recognized him. Sir, you've returned already? Li-Feng nodded. I'm done using it. The lady smiled politely. How was the experience? Li-Feng looked at the truck behind him and nodded. Not bad. At least it didn't fall apart halfway through the journey. The receptionist couldn't help laughing. Sir, our vehicles are not that bad. Li-Feng scratched his head awkwardly. That's good then. A few seconds later, he looked around the showroom before turning back to her. I need a car. The receptionist blinked. A car? Li-Feng nodded. My own car. The receptionist's eyes immediately lit up. What kind of car are you looking for, sir? Li-Feng thought for a moment. It needs to be big. Very big. It should be able to carry people. It should be comfortable. It should be luxurious. It should be fast. It should be able to drive on terrible roads. Mountains. Dirt roads. Broken roads ... Li-Feng paused. ... and maybe roads that don't even look like roads. The receptionist stared at him strangely. Sir, are you buying a car or preparing for the apocalypse? Li-Feng coughed awkwardly. Just show me the car. The receptionist smiled and led him deeper into the showroom. As Li-Feng walked through the rows of luxury sedans and sports cars, none of them caught his attention, until his footsteps suddenly stopped. Not far away stood a massive black SUV. Its body was tall and powerful. Its lines were sharp and imposing. Even while standing still, it carried a sense of dominance. Li-Feng's eyes lit up immediately. This one, the receptionist smiled. Good choice. Sir, this is the Toyota Land Cruiser 300. She walked toward it proudly. It uses a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 engine. It has 4-wheel drive. It performs excellently both on highways and off-road terrain. It can comfortably carry 7 passengers. The suspension system is among the best in its class. The interior is extremely luxurious. The seats are ventilated and heated. It also has adaptive suspension and terrain selection systems. Li-Feng walked around the vehicle slowly. The more he looked at it, the more satisfied he became. This thing looked like a beast. More importantly, it looked reliable. The receptionist lowered her voice slightly. Actually, this one is special. Li-Feng raised an eyebrow. Special? She nodded. The previous owner loved off-road racing. He spent a lot of money modifying it. The engine has been upgraded. The suspension system was reinforced. The braking system was upgraded. The tires were replaced with military-grade off-road tires. The exhaust system was modified as well. Li-Feng's eyes widened. So this thing is fast? The receptionist smiled proudly. Very faster than most people would expect from a vehicle this size. Li-Feng gently touched the hood. He was liking it more and more. The receptionist continued. The owner recently encountered financial problems and urgently needs cash. Otherwise, he would never sell this vehicle. Li-Feng nodded slowly. That made sense. A vehicle like this was not something people sold willingly. After remaining silent for several seconds, Li-Feng finally asked the question he cared about most. So ... How much? The receptionist looked at him before replying. The original vehicle was worth around 850,000 RMB. With all the modifications included ... The owner is asking for 1.28 million RMB. Li-Feng looked at the vehicle again, then looked at his bank balance, then looked back at the vehicle. For the first time in his life, buying a million RMB car did not seem impossible. Li-Feng slowly smiled. While Li-Feng was happily driving his newly purchased Land Cruiser through the city streets, the Chen family in the capital was already facing a storm of their own. Inside the Chen family villa, the atmosphere was extremely heavy. Several people stood nervously in the meeting hall. Chen Li's father slammed his hand onto the table. Bang! What do you mean he has been arrested? One of the servants lowered his head immediately. Master ... The authorities arrived this afternoon. They arrested young Master Li on several charges: murder, hit and run, and crimes involving several women from years ago. The entire room fell silent. Chen Li's father's face turned ugly. Impossible. Those matters were buried years ago. Who dug them up? No one answered. From this chapter onwards, young Master Li would officially be referred to by his full name, Chen Li. After all, that was the name hidden behind the title of young Master Li. Chen Li's father looked around the room coldly. Find out who did this. I don't care what methods you use. I want a name. One of the servants immediately bowed. Understood, Master. I will contact the organization immediately. The servant quickly left the room. Chen Li's father clenched his fists. Then he spoke again. Contact father. Tell him what happened. Another servant bowed immediately. Yes, Master. Soon. Another call was placed toward the Chen family patriarch. The entire Chen family had begun moving. Meanwhile, the person responsible for all this was completely unaware of the chaos he had caused. Li-Feng drove calmly through the evening streets. The city lights gradually lit up around him. He glanced outside the window before looking at the sky. Huh? It's already evening? He shook his head helplessly. Time really flies when you're making money. A smile appeared on his face. Today had been a good day. Very good. First, he had earned 10 million. Then Red Queen had turned it into 50 million. Now, he had even bought himself a Land Cruiser. Life was finally beginning to treat him kindly. As Li-Feng continued driving, a brightly lit building suddenly entered his vision. Outside the building, luxury cars filled the parking area. Music could already be heard from outside. Li-Feng glanced at the sign. Moonlight Bar. He raised an eyebrow. A bar? He thought for a moment, then shrugged. Since I'm already out ... I might as well experience it once. A few moments later, the Land Cruiser slowly parked outside the entrance. Li-Feng stepped out and walked toward the door. Before he could enter, one of the security guards blocked his path. The guard looked Li-Feng up and down. His expression immediately became strange. Who are you? What do you want? Li-Feng blinked. Drink. The guard frowned. This place isn't for everyone. You should leave. Li-Feng looked down at his clothes. He had to admit, compared to everyone around him, he really did look like someone who had wandered in from the street. Li-Feng sighed helplessly. Without saying anything, he casually lifted the key in his hand and pressed a button. Beep. Not far away, the black Land Cruiser's lights flashed immediately. The engine briefly roared to life. The guard froze. His eyes widened instantly. Li-Feng pressed the key again. The vehicle locked itself once more. The guard's expression changed faster than flipping a book. Young master, please come in. Li-Feng looked at him strangely before walking inside. Behind him, the guard wiped away cold sweat. These rich young masters really have strange hobbies. Dressing poorly just to test security guards. Too scary. Meanwhile, Li-Feng had already entered the bar. The music immediately hit him. People danced under colorful lights. Some chatted, some drank, some celebrated. Li-Feng simply found a quiet corner and sat down. He quietly observed everything around him. People really dressed strangely here. Some looked richer than rich. Others looked stranger than strange. Li-Feng picked up his drink and took a sip. Not bad. As he sat there quietly enjoying the atmosphere, several minutes passed. Then suddenly, a figure appeared near the entrance. A woman. She seemed unsteady on her feet. She staggered forward while looking behind her repeatedly. Li-Feng frowned slightly. Who is this? The next moment, the woman suddenly rushed toward him. Before Li-Feng could react, She threw herself directly into his arms. Li-Feng froze. Huh. The woman's voice trembled. Please. Help me. The woman's body trembled slightly as she held onto Li-Feng's clothes tightly. Please. Help me. Li-Feng was completely confused. Miss? What happened to you? The woman tried her best to stay awake. Her breathing was uneven. It looked like she was forcing herself to remain conscious before whatever had happened to her completely took effect. She hurriedly spoke. My name is Gao Xinyu. Li-Feng froze slightly. Gao, why did that name sound familiar? The woman grabbed his arm tighter. I'm the owner of Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation. Li-Feng's eyes widened. He finally remembered. Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation, the company where manager Zhao worked, the company where he had sold his gold and valuables several times. So this woman was manager Zhao's boss, the 30-year-old president of the Gao family business empire. Gao Xinyu struggled to continue speaking. Please. You have to help me. I was drugged. Her voice became weaker and weaker. Li-Feng's expression immediately changed. Drugged? Before he could ask another question, he suddenly heard hurried footsteps approaching from the entrance of the bar. Li-Feng slowly raised his head. His eyes narrowed slightly. Something told him tonight was about to become very troublesome. Before Li-Feng could say anything else, he suddenly heard hurried footsteps approaching. Tap, 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 tap. Li-Feng slowly raised his head, for men were running toward him through the crowd. The moment they arrived, one of them immediately pointed at Gao Xinyu. Hand over our young mistress. Li-Feng raised an eyebrow. Young mistress? Then he looked at them calmly. What is her name then? The four men looked at each other. One of them quickly answered. Miss Gao. Li-Feng shook his head immediately. No, wrong answer. The four men froze. Li-Feng glanced at the woman in his arms and then looked back at them. If she really is your young mistress, shouldn't you know her full name? The four men's expressions immediately changed. They finally realized that Li-Feng was playing with them. One of them instantly became furious. You brat! He rushed toward Li-Feng and threw a punch. Li-Feng did not even move. He simply lifted one finger. Bonk! His middle finger landed lightly on the man's forehead. The man froze. A second later, he dropped onto the floor while holding his head. Ah, my head! It hurts. Everyone nearby stared in shock. Li-Feng looked toward the remaining three men. The three men gritted their teeth. Let's attack together. The three rushed forward at the same time. Li-Feng sighed helplessly. Slap, slap, slap. Three clean slaps landed almost at the same moment. The three men spun in place before collapsing onto chairs and tables nearby. Their eyes were spinning. Their heads buzzed. They looked as if the world itself had become blurry. Li-Feng did not even bother looking at them again. He simply adjusted Gao Xinyu in his arms and walked toward the exit. However, one of the men had already made a call while lying on the floor. By the time Li-Feng reached his Land Cruiser, another 6 men had already arrived. They immediately surrounded him. Several of them were holding baseball bats. One of them pointed his bat toward Li-Feng. Leave the woman behind. Li-Feng looked around calmly. Then he sighed. Why is everyone so impatient these days? The next second, the 6 men rushed toward him. No one saw what happened. Li-Feng merely moved one hand slightly. Push, push, push. Several flashes passed through the air. The men suddenly stopped moving. They looked at each other in confusion. Then, rip, rip, rip. Their belts, trousers and clothes suddenly split apart and fell into pieces. The 6 men froze. Their eyes widened instantly. Aw, my trousers. What happened? Cover yourselves. The entire street instantly became chaotic. People nearby burst into laughter. Li-Feng did not even spare them another glance. He simply opened the Land Cruiser's door and carefully placed Gao Xinyu inside. Then he entered the driver's seat himself. The engine started. The black Toyota Land Cruiser 300 slowly drove away from the bar. Inside the vehicle, Li-Feng suddenly noticed something strange. Gao Xinyu's breathing was becoming uneven. Her hands moved restlessly, almost as if she was struggling against something inside her body. Li-Feng frowned slightly. This doesn't look good. At that moment, Gao Xinyu suddenly grabbed Li-Feng's arm tightly. Her face was already red. Her breathing became heavier. Li-Feng immediately realized that whatever they had given her was beginning to take effect. He glanced at her once before focusing back on the road. Meanwhile, Gao Xinyu continued moving restlessly in her seat. Li-Feng could only sigh helplessly. This is going to become troublesome. At that moment, a familiar voice sounded in Li-Feng's mind. Master, it was Red Queen. I have already erased all nearby surveillance footage that captured your techniques and your movements during the incident. There is no need to worry, but please be more careful next time. Li-Feng was slightly stunned. Only then did he realize what he had done earlier. This isn't the Wasteland anymore. I can't use my abilities so openly. If people discover something unusual, it could become troublesome. He silently nodded. You're right. Red Queen, I'll be more careful in the future. His gaze moved toward the woman sitting beside him. Next thing Li-Feng just realized, how beautiful she is. Those brown eyes, those pink lips. All this CEO at 30, what did they always eat? See how her butt full the car chair. What am I thinking? What am I supposed to do with her now? Gao Xinyu looked exhausted. Even in her current state, she still carried the calm and dignified aura of someone used to standing above others. Li-Feng scratched his head helplessly. I can't exactly leave her on the roadside. Fine, let's do a good deed today. He slowly drove through the streets while looking around. A few minutes later, he noticed a hotel near the roadside. The bright sign above the entrance read, Moon River Hotel. Li-Feng immediately drove into the parking area and stopped the car. After stepping out, he carefully helped Gao Xinyu out of the passenger seat. The receptionist looked up in surprise as the two entered. Good evening, sir. How may I help you? Li-Feng awkwardly scratched his head. I need a room. The receptionist nodded politely. Certainly, sir. After a few quick procedures, she handed over a room card. Room 808. Please enjoy your stay. Li-Feng accepted the card. Thank you. Supporting Gao Xinyu carefully, he headed toward the elevator. A few moments later, the elevator doors slowly opened on the 8th floor. Li-Feng looked at the room number in his hand. 808. He stopped in front of the door and inserted the card. With a soft click, the door opened. Li-Feng took a deep breath. Then he carefully helped Gao Xinyu inside. The door slowly closed behind them. Then Li-Feng take her to the bathroom to cool her down, but she was getting hotter. Why is this happening? The Li-Feng want to try and use his energy to guide the drug out. Next thing, his energy make the drug react strongly and also make him to feel dizzy. Next thing, he don't know what happened. You can guess what happened next. Morning sunlight slowly filtered through the curtains of the hotel room. Gao Xinyu's eyelashes trembled slightly. A few seconds later, she slowly opened her eyes. Her head felt heavy. My head. She raised a hand to rub her forehead before suddenly freezing. This place. Her eyes quickly scanned the unfamiliar room. Gao Xinyu then screamed. She saw she's naked and felt some slight pain down there. By then Li-Feng just woke up. Gao Xinyu, who are you? Li-Feng explained what happened, and he was trying to help her, but the drug make him to be like this. Then Gao Xinyu to start recollecting. Mrs. Gao, I am sorry. How did you know my name? You said it before you passed out yesterday. Gao Xinyu is okay. What alert, and I not like all those protagonist girl. I can see she will be a side character, that's why she's good. My name is Li-Feng. Can you please help me get a dress? Sure. Then she tell Li-Feng her size. Li-Feng was like, wow, so this what I did yesterday. Very heavy those, but I must kill the guy that drug her. I am very mad right now. But that drug is bad, I can't recollect well. After Li-Feng left, Gao Xinyu's face turned red cause she remember all what happened yesterday. Very big and not gentle. After some minutes, Li-Feng come in with some dress package. After she dress, she look at Li-Feng. Let what happened be between me and you. Be past. How much should I pay? Li-Feng was like, I don't need your money. Then both of them walk out of the hotel. They didn't know someone was taking their picture until Red Queen have already notified Li-Feng. Then Li-Feng said leave them. So while Gao Xinyu was trying to call a cab, Li-Feng said he bring car that she should come, and then she follow him when he get there. She look at Li-Feng cause she dressed like poor person, but was driving 1 million car. After some minutes, Li-Feng asked to where? To Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation. Okay. Then Li-Feng dropped her at the front of the company. Before she get out, she begged Li-Feng to please let it be secret. Then she rushed into the company. But Li-Feng didn't leave cause he knew Manager Zhao will surely call him. After thinking of that, the call just enter. Mr. Li, our young mistress I around, where should we meet? Am already at your door. Then he get down and enter. By then Manager Zhao have already rush out to pick him. Then he take Li-Feng to Gao Xinyu office. After some minutes, Gao Xinyu walk in. So she noticed Li-Feng. Gao Xinyu stared at Li-Feng for several seconds. Li-Feng scratched his head awkwardly. It's me. I'm sorry about what happened that night. Gao Xinyu remained silent for a moment before shaking her head. You don't need to apologize. If anything, you were the one who helped me. Li-Feng looked at her seriously. Who was the person that did that to you? A trace of anger appeared in Gao Xinyu's eyes. My fiancé. Li-Feng frowned. Your fiancé? Gao Xinyu nodded slowly. My company has been facing serious problems recently. We have been lacking important raw materials for several projects. He promised to help me solve the problem. Because I trusted him, I went to meet him. I didn't expect him to do something like that. Her voice gradually became colder. I trusted the wrong person. Li-Feng was silent for several seconds. Then he sighed. That man really isn't worthy of your trust. Gao Xinyu gave a bitter smile. Perhaps. The office became quiet. After a while, Gao Xinyu stood up and bowed slightly. Thank you. Manager Zhao already told me about the goods you brought yesterday. They helped our company greatly. Li-Feng waved his hand casually. It's nothing. If you need more in the future, I can provide more. Gao Xinyu's eyes widened slightly. You still have more? Li-Feng smiled. As long as your company can take them, I can provide them. For the first time that morning, a genuine smile appeared on Gao Xinyu's face. Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation will definitely be able to take them. Mr. Li, you have no idea how important this is for us. Li-Feng leaned back in his chair. Then everyone wins. You earn money. I earn money. Gao Xinyu laughed softly. You really are straightforward. Li-Feng grinned. Making money is addictive. Recently I've started understanding why rich people work so hard. They probably enjoy watching the numbers increase. Gao Xinyu couldn't help laughing again. While Gao Xinyu was laughing, she didn't notice that someone was looking at her. Li-Feng was stunned by Gao Xinyu's laugh. He didn't notice some part of his body was rising up. Manager Zhao, who was standing outside the office, heard the laughter and was completely stunned. Since when had his president laugh like this in front of another person? Inside the office, Gao Xinyu suddenly became serious again. Mr. Li, yes, there is something I want to ask. Li-Feng looked at her. What is it? Can we become long-term partners? As long as you provide the goods, Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation will give you the highest market price. Li-Feng thought for a few seconds before nodding. Deal. Gao Xinyu extended her hand. Then happy cooperation, Mr. Li. Li-Feng looked at her hand and smiled before shaking it. Happy cooperation, President Gao. At that moment, neither of them noticed that far away in another part of the city, a photograph had already arrived on someone else's phone. The photograph showed Gao Xinyu and Li-Feng leaving the hotel together that morning. Inside a luxurious office, a man slowly put down his phone. His expression became darker and darker. Gao Xinyu, this is the reason you ignored my calls. He looked again at Li-Feng's face in the picture. A cold smile slowly appeared on his face. Find out everything about this man. I want all his information on my desk before tonight. Yes. Young master. The secretary immediately lowered her head and left. Meanwhile, inside Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation, Li-Feng suddenly sneezed. Achoo! Li-Feng rubbed his nose. Strange. Why do I suddenly feel like someone is talking bad about me? Gao Xinyu smiled slightly. Maybe someone misses you. Li-Feng immediately shook his head. Impossible. The only people who miss me are probably my parents when it's time for dinner. The office immediately became quiet before both of them laughed. Neither of them realized that trouble was already quietly approaching. The secretary hurried back into the office with a thick document in his hands. Young Master Chen Hao, I've finished investigating the man. Chen Hao slowly put down the document he had been reading and glanced at the file before taking it. The first page contained only one name, Li-Feng. Chen Hao calmly flipped through the pages one after another. The more he read, the colder his expression became. The secretary stood silently beside him, not daring to interrupt. After a long moment, Chen Hao finally closed the file. He tapped the document lightly with his finger. So Li-Feng had already been offended by my younger brother before. The secretary nodded respectfully. Yes, young master. According to our investigation, Miss Yinyu abandoned Li-Feng and later became young Master Chen Li's girlfriend. And today after Li-Feng started selling a gold to the Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation, and also young Master Chen Li forcefully take Li-Feng family house, which lead to Li-Feng father been in the hospital. Not long after that incident, all of young Master Chen Li's hidden crimes were suddenly exposed. Chen Hao's eyes narrowed. You mean ... The person who pushed my foolish younger brother into this situation ... is very likely Li-Feng? The secretary lowered his head. We cannot confirm it yet, young master, but the timing is too much of a coincidence. Chen Hao remained silent for several seconds. Then, he opened the file again and looked at Li-Feng's photo. I don't believe in coincidences. If someone dares touch a member of the Chen family ... they must have a reason. He slowly closed the file once more. Continue investigating him. I want every detail. I don't care how small it is. The secretary immediately bowed. Understood, young master. Just then, another subordinate hurried into the office. Young master, we've received new information. He respectfully handed over several photographs. Chen Hao casually took them. The first photo showed Gao Xinyu stepping out of a hotel. Have known about this before. The second showed her entering a vehicle with Li-Feng. The last showed both of them arriving at Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation. Who owned the car? It was Li-Feng, said the subordinate. And also, master, you may have forgotten one thing yesterday. We drugged Mrs. Gao Xinyu, and her clothes was changed. Chen Hao's calm expression finally changed. His brows furrowed very strongly. Xinyu. Chen Hao's face turned completely cold. His fingers slowly tightened around the photographs until they crumpled. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Li-Feng ... Gao Xinyu, so you really betrayed me. A terrifying aura spread through the office. I'll kill you. Bang! He smashed his fist onto the desk, causing everything on it to shake. The secretary and every subordinate lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound. After a few moments, Chen Hao gradually calmed down. He looked at everyone in the office with an icy expression. I want everything about Li-Feng, from the day he was born until today. I want to know where he gets his money, who is backing him, and how he suddenly became rich. If there's even the slightest clue, report it to me immediately. Yes, young master. And another thing, Chen Hao's expression became even colder. Tell my father everything we found. The person secretly attacking our Chen family ... might be connected to this Li-Feng. Ask him to gather every family member. We're holding an emergency meeting. Understood. The subordinates immediately left to carry out their orders. Chen Hao then picked up his phone and dialed another number. The call connected almost immediately. Grandfather. On the other end, an old but steady voice replied. What happened? Chen Hao briefly explained everything, including Chen Li's arrest, the investigation, Li-Feng's sudden appearance, and Gao Xinyu leaving the hotel with him. Silence followed. After a while, the old man finally spoke. I understand. I'll handle my side. Find out everything about this Li-Feng. If he really is the person targeting our Chen family ... then he won't have a peaceful life. The call ended. Chen Hao slowly lowered his phone. His gaze turned colder than ever. Li-Feng ... I hope you're innocent. Otherwise, I'll make you disappear. Meanwhile, Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation. Li-Feng and Gao Xinyu had already finished discussing business. The two walked out of the office together. As they reached the elevator, Gao Xinyu hesitated for a moment before speaking. Mr. Li ... would you like to have lunch with me? We can continue talking. Li-Feng smiled and shook his head. Maybe another day. I haven't been home since yesterday. My family is probably worried. A trace of disappointment flashed across Gao Xinyu's beautiful face. I see ... She quickly adjusted her expression. Then ... Can I have your phone number? Li-Feng smiled. Of course. The two exchanged phone numbers. After saving it, Gao Xinyu looked at him. Thank you ... For everything. Li-Feng simply smiled. Take care. He waved before walking toward the parking lot. A few moments later, the black Toyota Land Cruiser 300 slowly drove away from Heavenly Treasure Jewelry Corporation. Nearly an hour later, Li-Feng drove into Mintoa Street and parked in front of the villa. As soon as the engine stopped, footsteps could already be heard inside the house. Li Zhu was the first to rush out. Her eyes immediately landed on the huge black SUV. Wow, brother, whose car is this? She hurried around it, looking at it from every angle. No way ... She looked at Li-Feng in disbelief. Brother, don't tell me ... You bought this car. Li-Feng smiled and nodded. Yes, it's mine. Li Zhu instantly screamed with excitement. Ah, my brother bought a Land Cruiser. She immediately stretched out both hands. Brother, give me the keys. Let me drive it once. Li-Feng quickly hid the keys behind his back. No, you'll spoil my new car. Li Zhu pouted. HMPH, stingy brother. Without waiting for permission, she opened the passenger door and climbed inside, curiously touching every button. At that moment, Li Hu, Minqi, and Li-Feng's two elder brothers also walked outside. The eldest brother stared at the vehicle before looking at Li-Feng. Third brother, you're really making money now. The second brother laughed. Looks like our little brother has finally become successful. The two brothers walked over and happily patted Li-Feng's shoulders. The eldest brother couldn't help asking, seriously ... Can you help us find jobs at your company? The company we're working for is terrible. The second brother sighed. They make us work overtime almost every day. The pay isn't even worth the effort. Our manager acts like we're machines. Li-Feng laughed. Don't worry. When the time comes ... I'll arrange something for both of you. The two brothers' eyes lit up. Really? Li-Feng nodded confidently. Really? You'll both have better jobs. The two brothers smiled happily. At that moment, Minqi clapped her hands. All right, everyone, let's stop standing outside. We can talk inside. Li Hu nodded with a smile. Your mother is right. Let's go in. As everyone walked toward the villa, Li-Feng quietly connected to Red Queen through his mind. Red Queen, how's the owner of this villa? Red Queen's calm voice echoed in his mind. Master, I've already contacted the owner. They agreed to sell. They'll come here tomorrow to discuss the purchase. Li-Feng smiled faintly. Good. Tomorrow ... I'll buy this house. With that, he followed his family into the living room. The atmosphere inside the villa was filled with laughter and happiness once again. Just as everyone entered the living room, Li-Feng's expression suddenly froze. A sharp electronic warning echoed inside his mind. Warning, warning, warning. Red Queen's voice sounded unusually urgent. Master, there is an emergency. Li-Feng's smile immediately disappeared. What happened? Red Queen replied at once. The Chen family has already connected everything together. They have discovered that you are the one responsible for exposing Chen Li's crimes. They have also discovered that Gao Xinyu spent the night with you. They are now investigating every detail about you. They are already making preparations. Master, you must be careful. Li-Feng's eyes narrowed slightly. I see. Without changing his expression, he continued walking into the living room so his family wouldn't notice anything unusual. Red Queen, monitor every movement they make. I want to know every plan before they carry it out. As you wish, Master. Li-Feng sat beside his family. Minchi smiled warmly. Fenger, now that your two elder brothers have seen your success, can you help them too? They're old enough to start their own families. I want to hold my grandchildren while I'm still healthy. Li-Feng smiled gently. Don't worry, Mother. I've already promised them. They'll both have good jobs soon. His two elder brothers immediately grinned. Li-Feng reached into his pocket and quietly took out several small crystals. He handed one to each brother. Use one tonight. Save the second one for tomorrow. Then he handed another crystal to Li Hu and Minchi. You two can use your second crystals tonight. Finally, he handed the crystals to Li Zhu. Li Zhu blinked. Brother, why do I get two? Li-Feng laughed. Because you're the youngest. If you use one today, you'll still have another tomorrow. The two elder brothers pretended to sigh. See, our little sister is still your favorite. Li-Feng shrugged. What can I do? She's my only little sister. Everyone burst into laughter. The atmosphere quickly became lively again. Li Hu suddenly moved closer to Li-Feng and sniffed the air. Li-Feng looked confused. What? Li Hu laughed loudly. You brat. I smell girl perfume on you. You're something. That's why you didn't come home yesterday. When I was your age, I only smelled like engine oil after work. Minchi, that's cause he no get hair for head. Wife. The whole family immediately looked at Li-Feng. Dad, why? Li Zhu widened her eyes. Brother, don't tell me you already have a girlfriend. The eldest brother laughed. Third brother, you promised we'd all find wives together. The second brother shook his head dramatically. So you betrayed us first. Li-Feng scratched the back of his head helplessly. What are you all talking about? Everyone continued teasing him until even Minchi couldn't stop laughing. After chatting with everyone for a while, Li-Feng excused himself. I'll go get some rest. He returned to his room and closed the door. The smile on his face instantly faded. Red Queen, continue your report. Red Queen responded immediately. Master, my surveillance has intercepted another piece of intelligence. The Chen family has contacted several overseas mercenaries. The current intelligence indicates they intend to enter China tomorrow. They appear to be preparing an operation targeting you. Li-Feng's eyes instantly turned cold. So they've finally decided to make their move. He slowly clenched his fists. They've chosen the wrong opponent. Meanwhile, inside the Chen family estate, Chen Hao and his father, Chen Rong, stood before a large screen. An elderly man appeared on the video call. His expression remained calm. I've already heard everything. Chen Rong lowered his head respectfully. Father, the overseas team will arrive tomorrow. The old man nodded slowly. Continue gathering intelligence. Don't act recklessly. Find out everything about Li-Feng first. When the time is right, we'll deal with him and his family. Don't leave yet any losing end. Chen Hao nodded. Understood. Grandfather. The video call ended. Father and son exchanged a glance. Tomorrow, their investigation would officially begin. Back at the villa. Li-Feng lay quietly on his bed. Outside, he could still hear his family's laughter coming from the living room. A faint smile appeared on his face. No matter what happens, I won't let anyone hurt them. After dinner, the family chatted for a while before everyone returned to their rooms to rest. Li-Feng slowly closed his eyes. Tomorrow, another battle would begin. The middle of the night, the entire villa was silent. Suddenly, Master. Red Queen's urgent voice echoed inside Li-Feng's mind. Li-Feng instantly opened his eyes and sat upright. What happened? Master, the overseas mercenaries have already arrived in China. They have just landed at the eastern seaport. Li-Feng's expression instantly turned serious. Show me their location. A three-dimensional map immediately appeared before his eyes. A red dot continuously flashed. There, Li-Feng slowly stood up. So they're finally here. He quietly put on a black coat and covered his face with a mask. After making sure his family was still asleep, he silently walked out of the villa. Outside, the night was completely dark. Li-Feng looked around before speaking softly. Invisible sword. Push! A transparent flying sword instantly appeared beneath his feet. At the same time, Red Queen reported, Master, I've already interfered with nearby surveillance cameras and satellite tracking. No footage of your flight will remain. Li-Feng nodded. Let's go. Push! The flying sword shot into the night sky like a streak of light. Within minutes, Li-Feng arrived above the eastern seaport. He landed silently on top of a tall shipping container. Looking down, he saw dozens of armed men unloading large metal crates from a cargo ship. Several members of the Chen family's private security team stood nearby, supervising the transfer. Red Queen quietly reported, "Confirmed, 48 overseas mercenaries, multiple illegal firearms, primary mission, investigate and prepare an operation against your family." Li-Feng's eyes turned cold. "So, they really came from my family." Without another word, he stepped off the container. Boom! He landed directly in front of everyone. The mercenaries instantly raised their weapons. "Who are you?" Li-Feng remained silent. His masked face revealed nothing. One of the leaders shouted, "Get rid of him!" Dozens of armed men rushed forward. The next second, Li-Feng disappeared. Only after images remained. His movement was so fast that nobody could follow it. Bang! 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 One after another, the mercenaries were struck down before they even realized what had happened. Every attack landed with incredible precision. Weapons flew from their hands. All their limbs were break. The Chen family guards tried to resist, but they were equally powerless. Within moments, the entire dock fell silent. Not a single mercenary remained standing. Red Queen calmly reported, "Threat eliminated." Li-Feng looked toward the dozens of weapon crates. With a wave of his hand, every crate instantly disappeared into his storage space. Wow, zero purchase. Without staying another second, Li-Feng stepped back onto the invisible sword. Whoosh! He vanished into the night. Before sunrise, he had already returned home. He quietly changed clothes and lay back on his bed as if nothing had happened. Soon, he fell asleep. The next morning, Li-Feng woke to the sound of voices coming from the living room. When he walked downstairs, the television news was already playing. The reporter spoke with a serious expression. Breaking news. Authorities discovered a major illegal smuggling operation at the eastern seaport during the early hours of this morning. Large quantities of illegal weapons were recovered. Several internationally wanted criminals and multiple members of a private security organization have been taken into custody. The investigation is ongoing. Li-Feng calmly picked up a bun from the table and continued eating breakfast. Across the city, the Chen family estate was in complete chaos. Police vehicles had already surrounded the entrance. Investigators entered one after another. Chen Rong's expression turned pale. How could this happen? The officers demanded explanations regarding the Chen family's connection to the armed group at the seaport. At the same time, the family's powerful grandfather also came under intense scrutiny because of the investigation into the criminal network. Inside the Chen family mansion, everyone wore gloomy expressions. They had no idea the person responsible for ruining their plans was peacefully eating breakfast with his family. After the family are done eating, Li-Feng looked at both of his elder brothers. "I have something important for both of you." The two brothers immediately became serious. "What is it?" Third brother. Li-Feng took out his phone and quickly typed a long list. A moment later, he handed the phone to his eldest brother. "I need you to rent me a warehouse." His eldest brother blinked. "A warehouse?" Li-Feng nodded. "And not an ordinary one. It must be very large. The larger, the better. It should preferably be on the outskirts of the city where trucks can enter and leave easily." His eldest brother scratched his head. "How large are we talking about?" Li-Feng thought for a moment. "About 1,000 square meters. If you find something larger, rent that instead." His eldest brother's eyes widened. "That's huge." Li-Feng simply smiled. "My company needs it." His eldest brother nodded. "All right. I'll start looking immediately." Li-Feng then looked at his second brother. "As for you I need you to begin contacting suppliers." The second brother became curious. "What exactly do you want to buy?" Li-Feng handed him another list. The second brother looked down and almost dropped the phone. "Rice, flour, cooking oil bottled water canned food instant noodles, biscuits, sugar salt, dried food, winter clothes, work clothes, boots blankets, steel pipes steel plates plastic sheets PVC pipes timber cement, bricks, nails screws, medical supplies The second brother swallowed. Third brother: "What exactly is your company doing?" Li-Feng had already prepared an excuse. "Our company is expanding overseas. They want to prepare supplies in advance. They're buying everything at once." His eldest brother nodded thoughtfully. "So that's why." The second brother finally relaxed. "I understand. When do you need everything?" Li-Feng answered calmly. "Within 2 days." Both brothers nearly jumped. 2 days? That's impossible. Li-Feng laughed. "Do your best. If something can't arrive within 2 days, arrange it as quickly as possible." The two brothers exchanged glances before nodding together. "Leave it to us." Li-Feng smiled. "Good. Send me your bank account numbers." Both brothers immediately did so. A few seconds later, their phones vibrated. 6 million RMB had been transferred to each of them. Both brothers froze. 3 million? Li-Feng waved his hand casually. Use it for the purchases. If you need more money, tell me. And if any amount remaining when the warehouse full, you are the owner. This is bad. Third brother, how will you now make money? Cause have already made lot there, so don't worry. The two brothers stared at him as if they were looking at a monster. Their once poor younger brother had become unbelievably rich. Just then, ding dong, the doorbell rang. Li Zhu excitedly ran toward the entrance. I'll get it. She peeked through the peephole. Brother, it's an old man. Li-Feng nodded. Open the door. The elderly man entered politely. Excuse me, are you Mr. Li-Feng? Li-Feng stood up. Yes. The old man smiled. I'm the owner of this villa. You contacted me yesterday about buying it. Li-Feng suddenly remembered. Oh. Please have a seat. The old man sat down. Considering the size of this 3-story villa, the swimming pool, the garden, and everything included. I'm willing to sell it for 50 million RMB. Li-Feng almost laughed. So the money Red Queen earned has finally found a use. And also it can't cover it. Next, Li-Feng phone vibrated. When he checked, he was shocked. Mr. Li-Feng, your China bank account ending with 114 just received 1 billion RMB. Without hesitation, he smiled. And can't wait to thank Red Queen. Red Queen, thank you. You're welcome, master. Li-Feng looked at the old man and didn't excitation to say, I agree. The old man looked surprised. You don't want to negotiate? Li-Feng shook his head. No, let's complete the paperwork. Soon, both of them went to the estate management office. After signing every necessary document, Li-Feng transferred 50 million RMB. The ownership documents were officially changed. The villa now belonged to Li-Feng. When he returned home, Li-Feng casually tossed the property certificate toward Li Zhu. Catch! She caught it curiously. A few seconds later, her eyes became as white as saucers. Ah! Her scream startled everyone. Li Hu and Minchi hurried over. What happened? Li Zhu pointed at the ownership certificate with trembling hands. Brother, he bought the villa. The couple quickly looked at the document. When they saw Li-Feng's name listed as the owner, they were completely stunned. This is really ours. Li-Feng smiled. The company bought it for me. His mother immediately became worried. Son, you're not doing anything illegal, are you? Li-Feng laughed helplessly. Of course not. It's just a company benefit. Only then did everyone breathe a sigh of relief. Li Hu suddenly burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. I've been afraid to touch anything in this villa since we moved in. But now I'm going to inspect every single room. It's my house now. Everyone burst into laughter. The entire villa was filled with happiness once again. Later, Li-Feng sat quietly on the sofa and scrolled through the latest news on his phone. Just then, his phone rang. The caller ID showed Gao Shenyu. Li-Feng answered. Hello? A gentle voice came from the other side. Thank you. Li-Feng smiled. For what? Gao Shenyu chuckled softly. For helping me deal with Chen Hao. Li-Feng frowned. What do you mean? You think I don't know? Other people may not be able to connect everything together. But I can. I know Chen Hao has been targeting you, and after what happened between us. He naturally shifted all his anger toward you. Li-Feng sighed. So you figured it out. Gao Shenyu quickly replied. I didn't use you. It just happened. And also you're the one that benefit there. In Li-Feng mind, as if I remember how I torture you on bed. I must try her forbidden fruit tonight. Li-Feng remained silent for a moment before smiling. Forget it. Let's meet. Choose a restaurant. We'll have dinner tonight. Gao Shenyu sounded relieved. All right, I'll send you the address. About 10 minutes later, a message arrived. It contained the address of an elegant Chinese restaurant. Li-Feng looked at the time. There are still a few hours before dinner. He picked up his car keys. I'll drive around the city first. Moments later, the black Toyota Land Cruiser 300 slowly drove out of the villa. Li-Feng cruised through the bustling streets, quietly enjoying the evening scenery as the city lights gradually came to life. After trying everything around the city, visiting many different kind of restaurant, trying so many foods, and packing so many prepared food into his ring, he was very happy, but one thing spoiled his outing. No girl, my own protagonist is very lame. At that moment, Red Queen voice sounds master at his time. Then Li-Feng remember his date with Gao Shenyu. Oh boy, I'm going to wipe her ass tonight. Ha 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 ha. Murder to himself. After some minutes, Li-Feng get to his destination.